Today I'm going to train two movements. I'm going to do handstand to planche and I'm going to do inverted hang to front lever. I'm going to warm up with easier variations, then I'm going to slowly make it harder and harder. I haven't been doing as much planche and front lever as I'd like to have had, but this is my kick up a bum to get started again. Hopefully you're doing the same, so join in if you can. If not, you can use the wall as needed for your handstand balance and then just do your planche variation, or you could do a crow or arm balance. And I'll show those variations as we go. Quick sip of coffee and we'll do the first one. So the first one is just going to be a freestanding handstand hold and then a tuck planche separately. So before I lower down to the tuck planche, I just need to check I have both ends. So I want to check that I have a handstand. So warm that up, freestanding position, make sure the shoulders are nice and happy, make sure I have good balance there, make sure I can underbalance, so take the shoulders forwards and come back to open shoulder position. So that's really important for presses, for handstand push-ups, for lowering down to crow or to planche position, to be able to do this movement with the shoulders. Then into the tuck position, so I'm just going to go into a tuck planche. I'm going to externally rotate the hands, makes it slightly easier. I'm going to take the shoulders forwards but planche up in that direction as much as I can. So really round in the upper back. Hold in there 5-10 seconds just to warm it up. Now if you struggle with this one, could put the knees onto the elbows, so more of a frog pose position or a crow. Or you could use a band assist around the hips and attach it to a high point, ideally a ring or a strap or something, so you could adjust the intensity. Then I'm going to practice my inverted hang on the bar. So to do this, I'm just going to step into it here, put the legs against the bar and hold. If you struggle with this one, you could close a little bit more, or if you still struggle with it, you could go into more of a ball position, but ideally legs straight, inverted hang and hold. And then the bottom position is just your tuck front lever, so nice and easy, tight ball position from hang. Could be done on rings or on a bar. So the more I go up with the hips, the more I bring the knees to chest, the easier it is. The more I take my hips down towards the level with the shoulder, the harder it is. Okay, then first set, putting those together. So I'm going to start in the handstand position. My hands are slightly more externally rotated now, a little bit wider than they were on the first balance. I'm going to come down to a tuck handstand and then down as slow as I can. That was a bit fast. Into that tuck planche position where I try to lock out the arms. I've got a tendency to bend my arms there. So if you needed to with that one and make it slightly easier, you could have your back to wall, you could have your heels against the wall and touch in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down now and just try and find my elbows or my arms, which is obviously an easier catch position at the bottom. Then the same with the front lever movement, I'm going to put them together, so that inverted hang position, so ideally straight body, and then pulling down, going into a tuck front lever. Now if that's too hard, we could go inverted position here, and then I just lower down as much as I can. I could push the legs out to the arms to create a bit of friction, and that makes it easier. Or I could just keep the hips higher up. Okay, next one I'm going to make it a little bit harder. I'm going to open the tuck out a little bit. So instead of being in a real tight tuck position here, I'm going to start to bring the knees away from the chest a little bit. My goal here is to be 90 degrees at the hip and have more of a flat back position. Now I didn't hold too still, or I didn't come down slow enough on the last one when I went into tuck planche. So I also want to try and make it slower on that last bit between the tuck handstand and the tuck planche. So again, hands turned out, externally rotated a little bit wider than I was before. Straight handstand, come down to my tuck. Notice my tuck now isn't so deep. Try and hold that as I come forwards and hold there. So I'm decreasing the time from 10 seconds now to around 5 seconds. Okay, then back up on this one, exactly the same thing. So I'm going to open out to a more advanced tuck, so same position. So notice flat back, knees in line with hips, and ideally hips in line with shoulders. Okay, next I'm going to open up into more of a frog position. So a frog position is in between straddle and tuck. So the knees come away a little bit further away from the hips, but the legs are apart and the knees are bent. So down to that same tuck position, but now open the legs to there. I'm not going to talk so much on this one. I gotta watch that right elbow wants to bend. Now you'll notice I'm doing planche before front lever. Planche is my priority, and also planche is harder. So I can keep up with the progressions on the front lever with hardly any rest following the planche. So exactly the same, I'm gonna go for that froggy position. Same start position, frog, level. Okay, now I'm going to go into the harder variation for me, so the straddle planche position. Now with the straddle planche, my hip's going to be higher, so that's an easier version. So it's a closed hip straddle, and then I'm going to try and progress to the open hip straddle, which is much harder. I don't think I'll be able to hold for a couple of seconds with the open hip position, but with the closed hip, I should be able to hold for the 5 seconds. So same start position. Now come down to the straddle straight away. See the closed hip, try and keep the elbows locked out. Didn't talk so much. 4 or 5 seconds, I'm not sure position, and that's where we really need to check that camera back, have the camera set up at the same height as your hips and your shoulders, and check where your hips are relative to your shoulders. So just check that you're training the variation that you think you are. Same with the front lever, support position, open to straddle first. Try and keep more of an open hip with this one. 1, 2, 3. That's it, I'm not talking anymore when I do the reps, it's getting too hard. Okay, now we're getting to the interesting ones for me, so I'm going to go with a open hip straddle position. This is the one that I'm probably not going to hold for more than 2 or 3 seconds. If anything, I've got to really try and push the elbows forward, so I'm constantly thinking about doing this. So protracting and pushing away the whole time. As soon as I bend a little bit, I'm so used to doing like the 90-degree handstand push-ups where my body will just go straight to that position. So I've got to really push out and think protraction. Okay, let's see what happens. So set the straddle position early, try and get into that scapular position. No, that's feeling too hard today. I can really feel my bicep on that right side, and I just want to bend. So that's where my 1 rep max is today. I'm going to try the same 1 rep max on the front lever. With the front lever, I'm going to try a full front lever position, see if I can hold that for a few seconds. With this one, I'm doing the opposite. Where I said I was pushing that way with the planche, this way I'm pushing away from the bar for the front lever. So pushing away as far as you can. Yeah, same, that's just not working today. So I'm gonna try some more static positions now. So not lowering down, just max out instead of handstand down, just max out my planche, max out my front lever from stepping straight into the position. Okay, so first the planche position, see what happens. No, so I'm really missing that consistency on the planche. A few months back, I was much better at that. I need to up that again, like 3 or 4 sessions a week. Okay, same, let's see if we can step into a full front lever. No. So notice there my hip is closing slightly. So in terms of working sets, I should be around that frog position on the planche, and I probably just need to be around like a slightly closed hip straddle position on the front lever. Let me know if you have any questions on these movements. If you're not at the handstand to planche level yet, check out the handstand to crow video here, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.